There's one artist that I've always wanted to work with, but goddamn, do they cost a ton of money, chat. It's either artists are like not available for commission, or they cost like a house. I'm like, Jesus. Just pay them 5 head. I'm telling you, man, some things just cost a lot. Okay, in the VTubing world, some things there aren't like, ow! But I've seen some art that's like art plus rig is like $30,000 fucking dollars. No joke, for an art and a rig, like 30K. And I'm sitting here, ow! I'm like, Jesus, am I crazy to think that's a lot? I mean, I know that VTubing is not... Like, some aspects of VTubing ain't for everybody, you know what I mean? Which I get, but sometimes you have to weigh whether it's worth it or not. Like, is it worth to spend that amount of money?
Thanks,
I don't know. That reminds me of how much Shy Lily's outfit cost. Did she talk about it? Wait, how much did they cost? Did she talk about it, or just making shit up? You're making shit right out of your ass. 4 million! Shut the fuck up, yeah. Yeah, I've heard that 30K figure thrown around before. Yeah, it's quite common. Especially, I don't know, if you want to work with bigger artists, they cost more, right? Which is fair, that's fair. I'm not saying like, I'm not complaining about it. If this ever gets like, actually, this is my worth. I'm not saying it ain't. It probably is your worth. I'm saying that it's expensive because it is. But I'm not saying it ain't worth it. It's just crazy. You know, like 30K is not something I can pull out of my ass. Unless I'm mega fuck rich, then yeah. But 30K ain't something I can pull out of my ass. Yeah, usually it's because like they're pretty busy and in high demand. Or because they're really talented, I guess. I don't know. It's... Conversely, do artists charge more because you might be a more popular streamer? Chat, do you want to hear a crazy statement? Honestly, it really depends, but it's like one or the other, right? Because this is my experience commissioning people. Most of the time, I just say yes. Like, I go like, yeah, okay, why not? But this is my experience commissioning people. Either I go like, hi, I'm Michi from VShojo. I was wondering if commissions are open, blah, blah, blah. It's either they go, oh, yes, but we need to charge more. Usually, they charge more for like NDA, or they charge for like, if you wanted to keep it a secret, like they don't stream the work process and stuff. Or they charge more for like, what is it? Promotional, marketing promotional stuff? Like to use, I guess, for stream. Yeah, commercial. They charge for commercial, extra for commercial, or like for one of those. The people that charge that to, there's only 2. Out of like 100 commissions I've done, only like 2 or 3. It's very rare. And when they do, it's like, I guess they do it to everyone. Because sometimes you have to fill up forms. And in the form, it's like, oh, we charge more if you want to keep it a secret. It's like written on the form. So I guess that's just their TOS. But most of the artists either stick to their usual payment or they discount you. I feel like I'm gonna say it, I guess, because it's not that bad. But I've worked with an artist before that I was like, hey, I was wondering if your commissions are open, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yes, they are. So I'm like, oh, can I know like your prices, etc. So then we start discussing prices and like, what am I looking for? What kind of art? What kind of aesthetic, etc. Right? There are some artists that would charge me less. Like we'll be discussing stuff and then they're like, the total price is this. But then, because I like your idea, I'm gonna charge less. And I'm like, oh, no, please, it's okay. And they're like, no, it's okay. And I'll be like, oh, thank you. I don't know why. You'd think people would charge me more. And I honestly thought people would charge me more because of the brand. But they don't. They sometimes would charge less. And I was like, wow, I appreciate that, actually. Like, you really like the idea. I'm very happy. I don't know. Yeah, because they're passion. Maybe. It's either passion or exposure, but they tell me it's passion. So I like to think it's passion. So it really depends. I remember I talked about this to one of my friends and they're like, yeah, but I think artists, you should pay artists what artists do. And I'm like, I'm not saying I won't. I'm saying I can't. You know what I mean? I had this conversation
87 for the
once, and my friend is like, I mean, you shouldn't, you know, like, I mean, it's, you should pay artists what they are due, blah, 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 and you should always pay them their money. I'm like, yeah, I never said I wouldn't. I literally said I just can't afford it. That way, at least I'm not lying. Like, it'll be worse if I'm like, oh, 30K, I could afford that, and then I can't. Like, that way I won't be paying them what they're due. All I'm saying is like, holy shit, that's a lot of money. I can't afford it right now, but maybe one day. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, is that a bad statement? She hates artists. I do. Exactly. I hate the backbone of our community. Yeah, there are also a lot of artists. All I'm saying, chat, I keep telling people this, right? If you ever want to be a VTuber, don't force yourself out of your budget, bro. There are gonna be different types of artists. Everyone has their own rates and their own charge and fees and stuff. Don't force yourself and go broke for the initial cost, okay? It ain't worth it, man. It ain't. Because if you spend all your money on a model and then you stream and you have to go through the grind and you have to like get all that how are you gonna like, how do I explain it? Some contents require cash, right? And either they need cash or they need time. Time is also cash. Either way, streaming, money. You know, you need money. Because when you're spending time streaming and you're not making money, how are you gonna eat, right? So make sure you stream first. You have some money saved up before you start spending it all about like a crazy person. Yeah, be realistic,
Thanks,
chat.
Kaziaru, for the sub.
Especially, yeah, don't spend your money on the startup cost. Spend enough, but don't go crazy. I keep seeing people, especially like indies, right? They compare themselves to corpos. And I keep telling them, don't do that. But then it sounds like I'm like, oh, you don't want them to succeed? It's not that. You can get a you can get a good model that isn't super duper goddamn expensive, you know? And you can get a lot of things that are not super duper expensive if you look for it, but don't compare yourself to corpos. Just don't. You're gonna go broke, bro. I can tell you something, right? Here's like standard of
You can
debut.
buy all the cool...
Step 1, already be rich. You know, there are some workforces that I'm like, you have to be rich to get into this. I ain't gonna lie. But, chat, I can tell you, corpo versus not corpo, how much money I spent on a debut and how much money it's usually required for like corpo debut. Because when people are like, I'm comparing myself to corpo shit, I'm like, don't, because I actually know how much shit costs. Don't do it. It's insane.
Crazy. Supporting.
Thinking.
Oshi, got it.
Aware, it's actually not okay. It's not bad because how corpos work is usually they try to support, quote unquote, you know what I mean? They some corpos support the debut cost, and when I mean debut cost, I mean the model.
It seems to be a common issue in every hobby. New person wants to become artist. They but $1,000 drawing pad only to never use it.
Yeah.
Same for people trying instruments and etc.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
really got to ease their way into a hobby or job like content creation.
Yeah, I agree 100%. How I start most of my hobbies is with DIY things. Like, I remember my friends had drawing pads and shit. I had my sketchbook. And my sketchbook was like $2, including a free set of pencils. And I was like, yeah. And then I have friends using Degoya. There's a brand of like art utensils called Degoya. That shit cost a lot of money. My sketchbook was an A3. It had 40 to 50 pages. It was thick. I was like, $2. Because I think the joy of a hobby is when you upgrade it. As you upgrade your skill, you upgrade your utensils and stuff, right? There's a joy about it. There's a joy about it being, I used to go from this to this. But if you start a hobby and you get everything like expensive, there's no excitement, you know? It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. It's different. So I always think start small. But when it comes to corpo, chat, have anyone ever talked about this before? Because I feel like it's kind of interesting when people compare themselves to like corpo VTubers and they're like, oh yeah, but this VTuber from like this corpo is able to do this. How comes I can't? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, because it's expensive. And you know what? A lot of the times corpos help with like the initial model cost, which is usually the most expensive cost. And then, well, you have their name tied to you, right? So you already get some form of marketability under your name. Just don't compare yourself to corpos, man. Corpos are different. Even sometimes I would look at like, for example, yesterday we watched Mori Calliope's music video. I am an ambitious person. If I compared myself to that, oh, absolutely not. That shit was so cool. Like, Hololive music videos, when they write official music video, you expect, it's a different expectation. You know what I mean? Like, you expect a movie. I'm not saying singer, chat. Singing, I mean, they are an amazing singer. But I'm talking about the production. Every time I see an official MV, it's always like a movie. Video
Michi,
channel?
I believe you're behind on the meta. New Vtubers don't compare themselves to corpo Vtubers anymore.
Oh?
They compare themselves to new Vtubers who are ex-corpo and immediately find success on their debut. Keep up, Michi.
Okay, you know what, chat? I have an opinion on that, but I fear of the cancellation. But you know what? This is my opinion. I may be not right, but this is my opinion. Okay? I tell you what, I tell you. Again, just my opinion. Don't cancel me. I will say this, if anyone says, oh, like a new debut, a brand new VTuber and a new debut, and their viewers are more than 1,000 or 2,000 or even more than that, that ain't new, okay? There is no issue with quote-unquote new VTubers. No shit. Because I'm not gonna shoot myself in the foot here. I know my place, okay? I'm not saying they are good or they are bad. It's not about good or bad. It's first of all, it's very, very obvious that they ain't new. That's number one. Number two.
You're perfectly entitled to your wrong opinion.
No, but all I'm saying is you can clearly see it.
Bud.
Speaking from experience there, bud? Yeah. I can't say, I can't insult it. Me pointing a gun at myself, like that's just how I feel. But I will say, I've seen tweets of people being like, I'm so tired of seeing like new debuts succeeding just for it to not be new, shaking my head, right? Joe, what is your opinion on it actually? I've always wanted to ask. Like, Doki, like me, I'm new. Crazy. I've only been here for a year, smiley face.
It was never touched again.
I forgot about that.
I'm not sure I've cared about something less. It is just changing jobs. It isn't exactly a new Vtuber debut.
Okay. Listen, I'm always down to hear other people's opinions, to be fair. But keep it civil. I don't want name drops, okay? If you're gonna bring up examples, the example should be just me. Tell me your opinion, but don't throw nobody under the bus. Don't start roasting nobody. Don't bring up nothing bad about nobody else. But aside from that, what do you think? Because I don't want this to be like insulting others. I think just me being here could be
From averaging a couple hundred viewers to getting a graduation boost which pushed them to around 1k, now to averaging 2 to 4k, was it organic? Or did the boost to an end and a beginning make it less organic to their growth?
My opinion? I don't think it's organic. I don't know actually. Cause, okay, oh my god. This is how I feel right now. This is literally how I feel. Chat, you want to know my honest opinion about that? Because I feel like there are certain things that people don't talk about, but I'm not sure why, and I'm about to find out. You know what I mean? It's one of those like, why don't anyone ever talk about this? And then I'm gonna find out why no one talks about it. And I'm like, oh, this is how I feel. I think... Phew. Just my opinion is kayfabe exists to just protect corpos and not VTubers that were there. It was what Fries is saying, right? From averaging a couple of hundreds to getting a graduation boost, pushing them around 1, averaging
Example,
to
I
higher.
hate the fuck out of that Michi mochivi bitch. Like, come on, stop being full of yourself just because you had a 40k debut.
I'm gonna talk about this as honest as I possibly can, alright?
I don't think they should be told they didn't earn the viewers, but I don't think they can say they got her purely from hard work. Getting a head start can change a lot to getting to the finish line. Real talk, that person spent their time building up their audience. That person did the work. If they did the work, then the only part of it that makes it a thing is that they've changed their name and have to pretend they're new. When a flash tuber leaves their channel to start a new channel, they get the same boost.
Boost. Here's my opinion. I'm talking about myself here, okay? Nobody else. Different people have different situations. But for my situation, or this hypothetical person that you're talking about situation that I will refer to as me for easier storytelling. I wouldn't say that this person didn't put in the work. I think, yes, there is work. But when it comes to streaming, a lot of it revolves around luck and luck. There's a lot of luck in this work, right? So during that time, I think it definitely helped that there was not only a graduation boost, there was...
I personally only found about you due to some drama about a year ago, but I also watch more things on Twitch, so it helped watching your content.
That's the thing. There was a lot of stuff going on.
Point. People come because of the corpo, but stay for the Vtuber. If you don't put in the work, that corpo boost will just be 15 minutes of fame emo.
That is also true though. But I'm gonna talk about this as openly as I can. I'm not insulting anything, okay? I'm not bringing up bad shit. This is just how I see it. Usually, certain corpo viewers are very loyal, not to the VTuber, but to the corpo. There are some viewers, not all, but especially like 20 2020, 2021, around there, people were more loyal to the corpo itself. You know what I mean? Not VShojo though. VShojo is different. I keep saying this. VShojo is like, if you are here to support, let's say, Iron Mouse, and Iron Mouse is no longer tied to VShojo, she will still be the same, right? But other corpos, especially if you have to get rid of that branding, people are mostly loyal to the brand. But Michi, how comes? Because they do a lot of branded group things. The brand of, like, let's say VShojo. If VShojo wanted to do something like that, there are steps to do it, but mostly it's to sell the brand of VShojo and not the brand of the talents. That itself comes with a plus and minus, because the talents then rely on VShojo for their numbers, right? Either way, some corpos have done this, where it's not about like, oh, it's not Michi Mochivi of VShojo, it's Michi Mochivi of VShojo. Because they sell a lot of VShojo merch, they sell a lot of VShojo events, VShojo concerts, VShojo exclusive collaborations. And it's just not highlighting the talent, but highlighting VShojo. So there's a lot of loyal to the company fans. For a specific person that I'm talking about today that isn't me, Smile, I think the reason of like the boost of growth, is it organic? I don't think so. I'm grateful for it, but I really don't think it's organic. You know what I mean? Because yes, this person did put in hard work. You can say that. But when this person graduated, not only did they graduate during a very specific time in VTuber history, when they did graduate, there was like a flood of drama and controversy that did not paint corpo in the best light, which made people not as loyal to the corpo anymore and more like support the VTubers kind of a thing. So with that movement, more people were not as loyal to a brand and more loyal to the person they watch, which I think still is an effect today. Like back then, people would not react this way. I don't know if like there are some people like, oh, I just started getting into VTubing recently, so this is like all you've known. But back then, chat, if you left a corpo in a corpo situation like that, people's response wouldn't be like this. There will be people that'll be like, oh, I'm so sad to see you go, or like, oh, I'm so sad that you're leaving, but no one's gonna be like, oh, what are you gonna do next? And I want to be here for you, like, you know what I mean? It's like speculation. People don't really do that. People just kind of assume you guys left in like good, what is it, like a mutual kind of a thing, and they're like, oh, that's sad, but I'm still gonna continue watching what I like to watch, which is the corpo, blah 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 blah. That's more common nowadays. People are more like, oh, let me make sure to support you in other ways, something like that. Yeah, like quote unquote on good terms, right? Yeah.
Why am I getting pinged about your behavior, young
lady?
What
do you mean? I think this is one of those things that it's not bad to talk about unless I start insulting someone. You know, this is not like a secret. It's one of those like, there's an elephant in the room.
How many people get 30 seconds of fame during drama and don't sustain that audience after the fact? The difference is that the personality/talent has to be there. Just being in the spotlight from drama alone doesn't do it. Thanks,
how is this cancelable?
425 for the 1 resub.
This feels weird to talk about because it's so like...
There is a huge difference between new and new. I mean, unless you have just had a genuine viral moment, then they are just two different things. You do the work, you get the rewards, hopefully, if it's right time, right place, and right person. But there is a privilege to check when you have a prior following, as long as they acknowledge that and pretend it doesn't exist.
I'm not saying this like, again, I am not insulting anybody, okay? I'm simply addressing the elephant in the room here because I do think it's a very interesting topic. Basically, we talked about like new VTuber versus new VTuber, you know, like quote unquote new VTuber, right? I think the growth definitely comes from a certain type of boost. My type of boost was different, I think. It was it's not because of drama. Like, I personally was not part of any drama, but there was drama that happened that isn't... basically, it made people kind of rethink their loyalty towards supporting a corpo compared to supporting just the talents within the corpo. Now, I know that I'm not gonna get into that drama. That's a whole thing, and it honestly ain't my story to tell. But everyone was aware of that. During that time, people that were just mainly loyal to a company kind of start rethinking, you know? Some people are like, oh, you know what? I like a talent. it doesn't matter if I'm a talent of A or B, it's just I like the talent. People kind of mostly lean to that. But way before all of this happened, chat, people mostly are loyal to the corpo and not really the talent. That was how it was back then. And it changed. You know, during this change, I also debuted, so I think a part of that helped as well. I'm never gonna say like, chat, I made it here all on my own because of my hard work and absolutely not. There is a high luck factor that I accidentally stepped on. It's like I accidentally slipped and slide onto luck. You know what I mean? And then now we're here. So I don't think that this was like an organic one. Like, oh, I did this on my own. Nah. I don't think so. I didn't think that far. I am a very like, oh, cool. Oh, okay, cool kind of a guy. But there are a lot of factors nowadays. A lot of things have changed, especially in VTubing and corpo VTubing world.
Never
People
heard of
come
you
and go and
or
come
any
again.
drama before your debut 1 year ago.
No
Subscribed
way.
because you are very entertaining and love the dichotomy between your areas of expertise, like fashion, and your poor understanding of daily life.
Okay, you didn't have to add the word poor understanding of daily life in there. You could have just kept your expertise and stuck to
About
that.
this
Thank you.
graduation, the reason that person refused to date you are being co-worker and sister. Since first
Ow.
reason is gone now, you only have to take care of being sister.
I know,
so
right?
at least one positive point about this graduation.
One of the things, like, for example, Mata, right? Like, Mata left VShojo, but we still hang out with Mata. Like, I just sent Mata a meme. Mata just sent me a TikTok today. Like, we still can collab with each other. It's different. VShojo is different. But I'm talking about, like, other corpos where if you leave, you kind of have to leave your brand. That in itself is probably one of the toughest ones. But with leaving your brand, it makes it harder for some people to continue to support you. And usually that mass, like, where can I find this person, creates some type of buzz. And that's where some, like, more attraction can come in. You know what I mean? So all I'm saying is I know there are new VTubers. I'm not gonna be here and being like, oh man, those quote-unquote new VTubers, am I right, chat? Ew, Patooey,
I think
cringe.
a lot of people realized
I'm gonna
how
do that.
important you were to them when you took your break last year. The hype for your return was biblical Mishimoki heart, and look at you now.
I think, okay, for me personally, I think it's a mix of things as well. Because I think I also changed. It's not just like, oh, the hype. Because here's the thing, there are some people that get a boost of fame because of drama or because of, I don't know, a viral moment, right? Drama doesn't always mean bad, by the way. I mean it in a sense of like virality. Like someone had a viral moment, they pop off and they suddenly blow up. Some people get one of those. It's either they don't know how to continue that vibe or they break down. There's a lot of like situations like that. With me, I think a part of it is I also changed, you know? Because during quote-unquote break, quote-unquote, I also spent that time trying to relearn a lot of things. Like, I tried to understand a bit more things. I didn't... This might sound so cliche, but at that time, my mentality, it was I am so burnt out. It was one of those. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me tell you a mini story. Hypothetically, once upon a time, a person went on a very long break and came back as another person. Who is this person? I have no clue. But I will talk about it I'll just say this person for further context. But for this person, during their break, I remembered, I'll just say because easier. ESL, haha. I honestly was so burnt out, right? And I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a fucking
watching this Kuma
priest.
stream and this person commented
No
on his
way!
nail painting. And then I was suddenly like, whoa, that person should become a Vtuber.
No way!
Totally unrelated. Like 3 months later, Michi
That's
debuted.
crazy. Also, that's another thing. Friends. I'll touch that topic in a
Having
bit.
to leave your brand is probably what turns me away from most corpo VTubers.
Yeah, there's that whole idea of leaving brands and rebuilding brands. It's a tough thing. But I remember during that time, yes, for the first couple of weeks, I was angry. There was a lot of anger and maybe, what is it? Not disappointment, but kind of like, you know what I mean? That kind of feeling, like the feeling. I don't know how to put that into words, but frustrated. Maybe that's the word, frustrated. I was upset and frustrated for the first couple of weeks. Resentment, maybe for a couple of days. But originally, it was just frustrated. because a lot of things happen. I don't have to go all the way back because that shit was the past, right? We leave that as that. But frustration was very natural. And I realized I was just really fucking burnt out. Like, I realized during a long period of my life, I went from purely excited with so much ideas, and I had so many things I want to do. I had so many plans. I wanted to do so much and be so much. And then eventually it became like, I'll do it, but man, you made it boring now. You know what I mean? It's like, I have to deal with this and a lot of no's and a lot of this and issues. And eventually you still do what you love. It's just harder to love it again. You know what I mean? So then I went through a time where I was like, I realized I was just really burnt out, like emotionally. Not because of the work, just emotionally exhausted. Because I've been doing that for years. So I was like, damn, I'm exhausted. So I actually spent time to sit with myself to like unpackage everything. You know, yes, I went through like a couple of days of pure resentment. I will admit it. I was very resentful for a lot of things, considering a lot of the things that I had to leave behind were things I personally financially invested in myself. You know, so it just kind of feels like I put in money in a piggy bank just for them to leave taking my piggy bank. And I wasn't very happy about that. And I was like, damn, that was a bit annoying. But eventually I realized, like, whatever. You know, it's done. Like, they're gone. The piggy bank's gone. Who cares? Start a new piggy bank. Like, start your efforts from nothing all over again. It's exhausting, but it's better than staying here. Because now I would rather use all of this energy to rebuild something than use this energy and, like, cry over the things I used to have. Because I feel like that would also be a waste. You know what I mean? Like, people trusted me and supported me enough. Why am I wasting the same amount of time and energy on just complaining if I could do something about it? And then it worked from there. So I feel like I personally changed too. When I debuted, this unrelated to this, sorry. But when I debuted again, I had a different mentality. Like a brand new different mentality. I approached things differently. It was really hard. I thought it was gonna be hard, but it really wasn't. Like, I tried to see this as genuinely my first time VTubing. Like, I started VTubing all over again. I had the same amount of passion, same amount of energy, same amount of excitement. I'm not scared of like, oh, but what if this doesn't work? Or, oh, what if this goes bad again? I tried to just abandon it and start with like the mentality I had before everything that happened. Am I succeeding in doing that? Sometimes I do be tripping and falling, but that's one thing that I say helped. Because if, let's say, I was still hung up on the past, I feel like I wouldn't enjoy this as much, and you would be able to feel it. You know what I mean? Like, I would treat this as like a job, and chat wouldn't be able to enjoy it anyway. So what's the point? So I think because like a part of me was like, oh, okay, the past is the past, whatever. We tra-la-lee around this parts of town. People could feel like, oh, she's just doing this for the fuck of it because it's fun, which is true. So maybe that's one aspect, but another aspect of the success I'd say that happened is friends, because I got lucky. Okay, I don't know, man. I'm telling you, it's called manifesting. Most of the time, I don't think this far. But I'm saying manifestation. I was lucky enough to have friends that when I was like, I have nothing, they're like, oh, let me help you out. You know what I mean? And then I had a lot of people that were genuinely here to support me too, that are in chat. So a lot of factors add up, but will I say I started like this is all because of my efforts, because of everything I did? Ow, no, absolutely not. Don't compare yourself to quote-unquote new VTubers. Okay, that they're different. The best way I can say it is they have already had their experience, but they can't show it in their CV. Comparing yourself to quote-unquote new VTubers, quote-unquote, is like comparing yourself to someone that already have the experience that's like blanked out of a CV. And when I say experience, I don't mean like, oh, I mean, I've streamed for 10 years. They only streamed for 3 years. So like, technically, I have more experience. When I say experience, it's different. When you are in a corpo, whether you like it or not, connections come to you. You know what I mean? Like, you already have connections. The people you work with have connections. The people that help you, like manage you, have connections. You know roughly your way around the sphere, and you have a easier way to link up with others. That is something that is really hard to duplicate. You know, like when it comes to like how long you've been streaming, you can stream for however long years. That's why I keep telling people, if you really want to see this as a job and you want to make it, make connections. That's just how it works. Don't feel bad like, oh, I feel bad like talking to people because I'm scared of the leeching, blah, blah, blah. Most people don't think about that, okay? Unless you're actually trying to leech, then we know. Like, people know if you're just here to be a leech. But if you're here because you want to meet new people, you want to network, most people don't mind it. Like, it's like, hey man, fair. I've told my friend this multiple times, just be honest with me. If you need help, like if you need my help growing your brand, tell me. Don't lie to me and expect me to be like, oh, okay, you want me to like boost your stuff? But why? Oh, okay. Oh, because it's fun. You know what I mean? Just tell me. It's like, hey, I want to know this person. I know you know this person. Hook me up. I'll be like, okay. Like, I respect it more if you're blatant with me. Because I am not smart. I am not smart. If you tell me if it's fun or not, I'll sit here and I'll be like, that doesn't sound fun. Let's do something else that sounds fun. And then you won't get what you want and I'll be stupid. So tell me the assignment, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Most of the time, people don't mind networking. That's the only way you can somewhat grow. New VTubers have that.
Topic, but I notice lately that ex-corpo Vtubers re-debut with a similar looking model and theme, which I personally appreciate // but at the same time, if it's too identical, it's a bit of a turn off for me cause I can't help but compare their new model with their past model.
I think for that it might be a choice thing. I can't really talk too much about it. I can't say I agree or disagree, considering I debuted and my artist mama is Raiju. So, I don't know if I dare say I
keeping
fit
the discussion
the
civil,
cookie.
Michi. I initially brought up the topic to highlight the disparity in comparison, so I appreciate that you circled back to it. The new VTuber is usually not the one making these comparisons and just wanna chill.
Yeah, I think I honestly understand the frustration between new quote-unquote VTuber. I understand it because it's not one of those like, I know some people are like, oh, just let them be happy, blah, 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 right? I agree with that, but if let's say, if I was the type of person, like if I worked, I was streaming for 10 years, non-stop, right? And I'm struggling to grow and I see a quote-unquote new VTuber and it keeps happening, like quote-unquote new VTubers come in, they just succeed from the debut, out of nowhere. They debut and they're just boom, big. Everyone knows them. Everyone's talking about them. Eventually, I'll feel a bit like exhausted. You know what I mean? I'll be like, man, I want to see a new VTuber, an actual new VTuber. I want to see someone because I want to feel like, I don't know, I'm not overshadowed in a way. Like, it's weird. Because back then, with streaming, new is new. When I say new VTuber, it's someone you've never known before. There's an enjoyment out of it. Yeah, drained, exactly. There is a joy in finding someone brand new, getting to know them, knowing their interest, listening to their brand new stories, right? With VTubers that are quote-unquote new, not like me, obviously, but, you know, quote-unquote new. Yes, some stories I can tell, but there will be people that are like, oh, I've heard this story before, or like, oh, I know about this story. You know, it's like, you kind of already, some people already kind of know. There is no enjoyment in finding a fresh new face. I get that frustration. I mean, there's a lot of things that I can't say because it's not my place to say it. But I'm not gonna say like, oh, these people are irrational. No, they're very, very understandably upset. Makes sense. But here's one thing, do not compare yourself to the quote-unquote new ones. Because the quote-unquote new ones have experience. And when I say experience, I mean connections. And I know this will sound bad, but that's just the truth. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and be like, oh, it's because the quote-unquote new VTubers, they're just like, they have experience, aka talents. No. It's connections. It's genuine to God connections. They know people. They know people within the industry. They've met people within the industry. If they don't, they know someone that do. And from there, their network is on a fast track, right? It just depends on whether they want to use this fast track or not. Something like that. So it's not fair. It's like not the same playing field. But if you think about it, I think new quote-unquote new VTubers, they don't really take much because all they do is they usually just take their own fan base with them. You know what I mean? So it's not like they're taking from what potentially could be something for you. They're just kind of taking what they used to own, which eventually is kind of the same anyway. Roughly, I don't really know. But it's different. I'm not saying I don't understand I understand the frustration. Sadly, there are a lot of things that I will say that I genuinely cannot say. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot say it because of who I am. Like, I am the quote-unquote new VTuber. So if I say anything, it's kind of out of touch. You know what I mean? It's like, if someone has a flu and the person that doesn't have a flu talks about having a flu, that's kind of like, fuck you. You know, that's like the biggest fuck you ever. So there are certain things that I can't say purely because I don't want to accidentally give that fuck you in the face. If other people want to say it, then feel free. Most of the time, I agree. Like, there is nothing that'll be like, oh, no, that's unbased. Most of the time, I get it. Feelings are mostly valid. You know, yeah. That's how I pretend like I have a flu. That'd be fucking stupid. But I do recognize the exhaustion behind it. The way I can say it is like, I sometimes feel bad, but if I feel bad for it, I feel like I'm pitying, and that's even worse. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound like I'm pitying, and I don't want to sound like I'm like, oh, poor you. It's not, but I understand the frustration, but there's nothing I can do about it. Like, this is not something I alone did, you know? So the most I can say is, I'm here for you. I see you, and I'm sorry. But a lot of the things that you want to say, please imagine it this way. The things some people would listen to them, they're like, oh, she's not addressing this. Imagine if I did. Imagine if I said the things you want me to address out of my mouth. That will sound hypocritical, and that'll be the biggest fuck you ever. That'd be worse. So I will leave it so it's like a story you tell. It's not a story I tell. It's a different... I don't tell other people's stories, alright? That's a different thing. But I think you and Mama Mochivi are just very blunt.
Thanks, Robbie Wolf, for the
I don't
sub.
think there's anything wrong with it. The only time I think it's wrong is when people try to act like that's not true. You know, it's like, I'm not a quote-unquote new VTuber, you know? And they mean it. Like, it's not a kayfabe thing. It's like, oh, I'm not a new VTuber. What are you talking about? Like, I think that's when it's like, okay, buddy, sit down. You know, it's like, time to relax here. I'm never gonna shy away from admitting.
For those of us who've been here since a long time ago, the sudden growth was insane.
Yeah.
It both annoyed and made me happy seeing the I wish I knew you sooner messages. Because you were so great, I wished they had seen you before. Really glad to be here now when you're in your big girl era. Slay Michi, Michi,
you know,
Rocky Heart.
Some people are like, I wish I knew you before. It's like, oh, I wish... No, bro. I feel like if you knew me before, you wouldn't like me. I was so depressed, you know. I was so like depressed deadpan. So it was different too, what? Like, I think in the first... Okay, no, I can pinpoint exactly when the color started fading for me, okay? The first 8 months, I was still bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. The first 8 months. After that, you know the aware emote? That is literally me. That was me after the 8-month mark. Because I was just like, aware? Yeah. And then, I'm streaming here now. And now I am no longer aware-jing. Yet, I am now frolicking in a field of meds. But I am happy. I am here because of luck. Luck, connection, and crazy. It's because somehow crazy people watched me and went, you know what? This is a vibe. And they stayed. And I go, run while you can. And they go, I'm not gonna listen to that. So crazy, luck, and connection. Not purely just from my own efforts. You know what I mean? I hope I could help people one day. Sometimes I do. If I have to be honest, sometimes I do feel guilty. I know this sounds bad, but sometimes I feel guilty because people would complain about like, you know, new, right? Like people would complain about new VTubers and ow. It's like, they don't deserve it. Those comments.